It's a pleasure to welcome you to NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Countdown from Texas Motor Speedway in Fort Worth, presented by Napa. Texas is known for so many things, but when it comes to this particular part of Texas, and by part, I mean the racetrack, you should always be prepared for a bit of a show all week long. Today's Sprint Cup Series race has been billed as a showdown, a bout between two of the sport's heavyweights, Carl Edwards versus Tony Stewart. The track bought in, and if this is any indication, so did the many, many fans. But the question is, how did we get here? Remember 1 week ago in Martinsville, the 17 of Matt Kenseth, strong very early on, was around the front all day, but he ran into some bad luck. And then, in a very un-Kenseth sort of way, he lost his cool and lost some ground in the championship. What about Kevin Harvick? He too ran up front all day long. His goal, finish ahead of the 99, and that is exactly what Harvick did. How about Brad Keselowski? He ran out of luck. Not that he needed it early on, because the two ran in the top 10 pretty much all day long. Brad K still thinks the caution should have come out late in the race. It did not, and he lost some ground in the championship. The 99 of Carl Edwards was pretty much brutal all day long, back of the pack most of the day. Twice went a lap down, but he fought back, and no surprise here, at the end of the day, found himself in the top 10. Drive of the day, maybe drive of the year, Tony Stewart. Final restart, pinned to 48 down on the inside and pulled off the pass on the outside at Martinsville. And it was Tony Stewart who went to victory lane for the third time this season, all three in the chase. So when it was all said and done, Carl Edwards maintained his points lead, but only by 8 over Tony Stewart, who gained 11 points on the 99. Because all of this talk about the championship is fine and dandy. However, this particular weekend, it does need to take a back seat to some drama that unfolded here about 36 hours ago. And for that, we have to go back to Friday night's Truck Series race and an incident between Kyle Busch in the 18 and Ron Hornaday in the 33. The two took it 3 wide, lap 14. It didn't work. Caution comes out, and under yellow, Kyle Busch took exception to the hard racing, hooked the 33 into the wall. Busch was parked, and this is what he had to say.
I ended up losing my cool, and I've been wrecked 4 weeks in a row, and finally I just had enough of it. And so I'm sorry it was Ron Horner today, and he's going after a championship. But the fact of the matter is, it's just, you know, you can't place all blame on one person. There was 2 people that got into it to begin with, and there was 2 people that ended it.
It should be noted that Busch was driving his own Kyle Busch Motorsports truck in that race, but on Saturday morning, Busch and his Cup and Nationwide Series owners, Joe and J.D. Gibbs, were called to the NASCAR hauler for a very brief meeting in which Busch was told, "You are done."
NASCAR has decided to maintain that parked position on the driver of the 18 truck for the balance of the weekend. So basically what that means is Kyle Busch will not be participating today or tomorrow.
Well, following his win last week in Martinsville, Tony Stewart has never been more confident. He told me in Countdown he has the edge over Carl Edwards today and in the championship. He brought back the same car he won with at Chicago, and it's sporty. Dr. Jerry Punch?
Carl Edwards wants to win the Sprint Cup, but he also knows today is not a sprint race. It's a marathon here at Texas, 500 miles, and a marathon that can take its toll on man and machine, particularly engines. Carl's engine will turn 9,600 RPMs every lap he will let it. He's going to manage those RPMs and pick his, choose his battles in order to win that championship today. Carl is ready, and so is his team. Listen in.
All right, guys. Let's have a little bit of fun today. Appreciate everybody's hard work. We'll just stay in it till the end for every point we can get, no matter what, just like we've done the last 7 weeks.
And we are underway at Texas. Greg Biffle, David Reagan lead the field off tricky turn 2 for the first time. Biffle leads lap 1. They'll be screaming it better than 190 miles an hour off into that corner.
Well, Biffle wasn't going to be denied leading that first lap the way he drove off into turn 3 and took the lead from David Reagan.
Yeah, they were side by side going into turn 3. Biffle didn't lift at all until he got to the middle of the corner.
Carl Edwards, 99, trying to slide underneath Paul Menard. He does so. Tony Stewart running 4th, just ahead of him. Edwards in 5th. Quick mention, because of the driver change after qualifying, Michael McDowell went to the rear of the field in the 18 car. The 66 car that McDowell qualified, being driven by Josh Wise today, it went to the rear of the field. And David Ruderman in the 00 had to give up 6th starting spot. They had to change an engine in that car. He went to the back. That is just capping off what's been a difficult week for Ruderman, who was notified he'll not be back in that car next season earlier this week.
Comes Casey Kane, but you can see Paul Menard really get loose on the exit of turn 4. These exits of turn 2 and 4 here are two of the most critical parts of this racetrack, where the banking goes away from you to 5 degrees of straightaway. Really difficult.
Yeah, this track looks identical to Charlotte and Atlanta when you look at it, but the way they drive, I was like Dale said, that these banks they lay down quickly as you exit the corner, and so it makes the car drive a lot different here.
A couple of guys to keep an eye on today. The 9 car, Marcos Ambrose, and that 21, the red and white car, Trevor Bayne, the Daytona 500 winner. Those guys looked really good in practice.
Yeah, I talked to Trevor Bayne this morning in the garage area. Congratulate him on his Nationwide Series win yesterday. He said, we got a fast car today, too.
Yeah, he did a great job winning there yesterday. And we'll have to go just back to Charlotte. Even though we talked about the differences in the racetrack, Trevor Bayne ran extremely well until they had a fueling issue with that 21 car. Look for him to be good here all day long.
Brad Keselowski high in that 2 car. Kevin Harvick starting to slide a little closer to the front. 29 car started back in 21st position. And look at how quickly Kevin Harvick has gained some ground in some of the opening laps.
Yeah, Harvick worked extremely hard yesterday in practice, ran a lot of laps. He was using the middle to top groove. I think that we were going to see a lot of that in the first portion of this race until we had cloud cover all day. The track temp isn't nearly as high as they were expecting it to be here.
I still expect to see Harvick moving up on the way he is moving up this corner. I expect to see him move up as the tires wear down. And talked to Jimmy Johnson's team, some of the guys in the garage this morning. I said, who looks good? They said, besides us, they said that 29 car is who looks good.
Got a big run off turn 4 there. Harvick going to go by Keselowski with the 29 car up to 12th place.
Harvick's going to make a move for this championship. He's going to have to start here today. He needs to be up towards the front in the top 3 at the end of 501 miles here.
Yeah,
we get to the end of this.
You carried the one.
Kevin Harvick swept into a wreck in the Talladega race a couple of weeks ago, dropped him from being virtually tied for the championship lead, neck and neck anyway up front, as we watch Jeff Gordon 24 and Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42 race here. And now Harvick has said he has to gain ground every week on Carl Edwards. He has to finish in front of him. He started behind him today. Gordon didn't start off toward the front of the pack. 24 car was back in 23rd place. And for Jeff, that is 17th. He's just picked up and working on 16th here on Kurt Busch in the 22.
Now, he was one of the better cars in happy hour we saw yesterday in practice. So I expect to see him move up pretty quickly.
Yeah, he'd like to get something going here as we see Tony Stewart taking the third, or trying to take this 3rd spot away from David Reagan. Tough pass to make down the bottom, but he's going to be able to power by him now down the back straightaway. We are seeing more sun on the track now as Matt Kenseth tries to take the lead away for the first time from Greg Biffle here today.
Back in the April race here at Texas, Matt Kenseth led almost half the race in winning in that 17 car. Now, after an accident at Martinsville last Sunday, he finds himself with a deficit in the championship, needing every point he can. And as it works in NASCAR, when you lead a lap, any lap in the race, you get 1 bonus point toward the title. Matt just collected 1.
Yeah, and he knows maximum points is what he has to have here, and pretty much at least in 2 of these 3 races, I think, to have any chance, unless Carl and Tony have some big issue along the way.
Yeah, that Carl Edwards, you see, just showed up in the picture, had the fastest lap on the track last lap, and a 30.89. That's the only one in the 32nd bracket of the leaders.
These 4 right here have just separated themselves from the rest of the field right now. You can see Carl wanted to get on the bumper of Tony.
He was right there, wasn't he?
Yeah, you can't talk to him right now, but that's sending a message his way.
That was Jeff Bodine in that 36 car that the leaders just put a lap down. Some cars going to the garage in the early going. J.J. Yaley, Joe Nemechek, Josh Wise has gone to the garage as well. There's the gap they checked out between that front 4 and the second group. Here's kind of the 3rd group on the racetrack. Jimmy Johnson, 48. Marcos Ambrose, 9. Paul Menard, 27. And Clint Boyer in the 33. I expect to see Jimmy Johnson up front in the top 5 somewhere as this race goes on and as it draws toward its conclusion.
Yeah, I think typically we see this 48 car in a situation where the race is going to go from daylight to dark, that their car is set up more for the racetrack as it cools down, gets some more grip, and picks up speed.
Yeah, I'm expecting more than that, actually, Alan. I expect him to be contending for this win before the day's out.
The 5-time consecutive champ is running right now in 8th spot, Dave.
And talking with his crew chief, Chad Canales, this morning, Chad said our performance is pretty good. You know, in years past, as it looks like he's going to get challenged again on the outside by Menard, in years past, we were very guarded about our race car. Whoa, look at Ambrose taking the middle there. We were guarded and didn't try a lot of things. This weekend, we've kind of been all over the map trying some new things and finally landed on basically a standard setup, but that doesn't look good at all. I guess Jimmy just kind of got out of their way, guys.
Yeah, something to be followed up on there. He just gave up 3 spots. Did Jimmy Johnson.
Well, it was getting pretty hot and heavy right there. You see him running 3 wide, a couple of laps there.
Yeah, if you have a loose race car, which I would think maybe that's the case with Jimmy Johnson, as we have some the track temp heating up just a little bit. No sense in putting yourself in a bad position there. You've got 3 cars wanting to really race hard right now. See Regan Smith taking 5th away from David Reagan.
The Southern 500 winner from Darlington, back Mother's Day weekend. Actually, a couple of guys have got first wins this year, Smith and David Reagan. Caution free very quickly, closing in on halfway. We're not caution free anymore. Yellow flag is out. Debris off of turn number 2, I believe I just heard NASCAR say. And a welcome sight for a lot of these teams.
Oh, yeah.
And drivers. Matt Kenseth has the very first pit on pit entry, Dave.
And for our leader, the adjustments have already been made. Air pressure reduced in the rear tires. He says you fixed the free end a little bit, but it's still just a little bit loose, tight, and then loose off the corner. Vince.
Marcus Ambrose, you see him bottom left of your screen running 5th, says it's too free getting in and too much load on the right front. They're going to go up a half round on the track bar and 4 tires. Jamie?
Tony Stewart in the upper right-hand side says he's just, he needs to cut better through the center, actually. The exit is good. They're going to make a wedge adjustment in the left rear, 4 tires, Doc.
Right lower corner, Carl Edwards said the wedge didn't help, and as he leaves pit road, he said, take that round of wedge back out. You were hurting my exit off the corner.
Going to be a big charge to the end of the pit lane, but it will be Matt Kenseth retaining the lead. Onto the first caution today here at Texas Motor Speedway, already past 150 miles. So it'll be Kenseth and Edwards leading the field for the restart. This green flag restart presented by American Ethanol. Look at Tony Stewart.
Smoke was ready to go when they dropped the green flag there.
It's one thing we've seen out of Tony this year, especially when the chase started. He started getting very aggressive on these restarts.
Trying to find a way to squeeze in front of Matt Kenseth, who's dominated most of this race so far. Stewart led that lap, but Kenseth isn't giving up. They're going to squeeze up in front of him there.
Yeah, not quite enough room there.
Carl Edwards lurking.
See Tony really moving the steering wheel there. A little bit loose right in the center of the corner, but still fighting.
That lap to Kenseth. Tony's got him here.